I think the more interesting conversation is why did they go defensive end? More than focusing on the player itself, why did they go defensive end? Because that's kind of what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's my biggest question. Now, I know that people have said he's really good against the run, which that's good because you lost Malcolm Brown. I know it's a different position.
Saints value that a lot,
but we
too.
have seen him slide inside and play a little bit of defensive tackle. Now, you were playing the highlights earlier before we came on against BYU. That was great. Watching the Tulane tape, I just saw a tight end maul him. So you can make your own, oh, man, yeah, this guy's going to be great off what you showed me. Or you can say, oh, he's going to be terrible after what I just saw. That's look, you got to do the full deep dive. This is a big potential play as well, right? A lot of people said it. This is the most potential defensive lineman, maybe high upside guy in the draft. Now, you still got to work with him. There's some rawness there, okay? And he can be versatile and play inside in a 3 technique in a pinch, and he can play, obviously, a 5 or a 9 or whatever you need him to play. But for me, it's just the Saints needed so many other things outside of what he can give you. Even at his highest level, even if Payton Turner comes in and he's a dog, there was other things that you needed, like who's going to be next to DeMario Davis, who's going to be on the other side of Lattimore as the starting corner. Now, once Newsome went to Cleveland a couple of picks before, I thought, okay, the corner's probably out.
Like the corner market just wasn't there. It's kind of like we talked about leading into the draft. It was looking like you were going to end up in cornerback no man land, and it's where you ended up. As far as linebackers go, speaking of groupthink, obviously the groupthink was a bit off on the Notre Dame cat. Because he was supposed to be like a guaranteed first rounder, right? I mean, I don't think I saw too many mocks where he wasn't going first round. And then some of the other names that Saints fans might have recognized in Jamin Davis and David Collins, they end up going off the board. So again, you're in a bit of no man's land. Maybe this tells us they're more positive on their offensive weapons than we thought, or they think it's a deeper draft to grab these weapons. And then maybe they're not as positive on their pass rush, right? Does this tell us that they think that Cam Jordan's maybe on a bit of the decline? Like they've got to prepare for that transition. And the Marcus Davenport thing is interesting because Marcus Davenport is not an abject failure. This is not Jonathan Sullivan. He is not that. He has just not been worth the price you paid. But he has still been, like the reason why they picked up his 5th-year option is because he's still been good. Like he's been good against the run. He has a very high pressure rate. He doesn't get home enough, but he has a high pressure rate, so like the potential's there. Like he is a starter in the NFL, Marcus Davenport is. He just hasn't been a guy that you want to give up 2 first-round picks for thus far. So, but you still have him. You lose Trey Hendrickson. Carl Granderson you kind of like, but I don't know if like you feel like he's going to be the guy. Yeah. But that's on the interior. I'm talking about just the defensive ends. I'm talking about just the edge guys.
I'm talking about getting to the quarterback. And I feel like you had guys that could do that. That's what that's the puzzling part of this pick for me.
I'm wondering if this is telling us that they feel less like they had guys that could do that than we think they did.
Right, and that's also, then we get into you picked up the 5th-year option on Davenport. Is that because you feel like you're still trying to justify what you did, or does that feel like he's worth what we just picked up?
No, to me, he's not worth cutting. Like to me,
I'd say he's worth cutting.
Well, I mean, but he's worth picking up that option on. Like Davenport's been a solid starter. You're already locked into that contract. You roll with it through the end. Does he get a second contract? That'll all be price dependent, but it makes sense to roll down. And yeah, maybe he's on the edge of breaking through, right? I mean, he was a project. You like Onyemata. Onyemata took like 4 or 5 years to get to this point. Remember, he was coming out of Manitoba playing. Now he was playing. He was even more. Yeah, he was even more of a project. But Davenport's coming out of UTSA, so. It's similar in some ways, and you have seen Davenport at least improve every year, even if it hasn't had the immediate impact. So I agree with picking up the option. Was Cam Jordan's down year last year a flash in the pan? Is it going to be kind of the case going forward? Does it continue that way this season? He's been doing more and more media. It looks like he's kind of positioning himself a bit for a post-playing career as well.
Breaking down the tape, there's not many times he didn't have 2 guys on him.
Yeah, which is why it's going to be.
He's demanding that respect now.
Yes,
and so that's why when you're talking about Davenport, if he can't thrive in what he's about to face in 1-on-1 against tackles or tight ends, then he's never going to.
But Cam Jordan's always dealt with those double teams and fought through them. Last year was the first time where he was still getting doubled, and his production kind of got shut down.
I agree with that, but there's also a big difference in every time you're game planning against the Saints on Monday morning, they're saying, here's how we're going to stop 94. And I feel like he got that more than any time in his career. Like
You
he
think
became
last
a guy.
year he got that more
Yes,
than any time? Because you're talking about an all-decade guy. Like,
I
he's
know,
been good
I know,
for a while.
but think about the season he had before that. I feel like it's like 94. He's not going to beat us. Let's stop him. I've been in these meetings before. It's like, okay, yeah, 52. He ain't gonna,
I guess
he
I'm
ain't gonna
saying
beat
what
us.
was stopping them from having that game plan during the best Cam Jordan years, like the past 5 years.
I feel like
I feel like that was probably the plan every time.
they probably felt like they could single Hendrickson. I think that's a big difference. They feel like we can single him. They proved him wrong. He went out and got double-digit sacks, but sometimes it's also like how much better is that guy we got to stop compared to the guy on the other side.
Yeah, so
Sometimes you can't do it. Like when you used to face the Steelers back in the day or the Ravens, like you couldn't do that because like Lamar Willie's on this side, James Harrison's on that side. Well, it doesn't matter. It's like choose your poison here.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. Like honestly, you just got to see where this pick goes. I guess again, I don't hate it as much as a lot of fans because I don't think that I know better than Jeff Ireland and company who are watching all of this film. Well, but then again, you know what? A lot of people hated the Marcus Davenport pick, and as I said, that has not justified the price paid there either. All right, let's go to break, and when we get back, let's talk to our guy Hunt Palmer, talk a little LSU baseball, maybe a little Cubby Bravos as y'all's two squads been squaring up. Keep it locked right here on OTB.